Hi, everyone. This is Barb Bruno, and I want to welcome you to our Wednesday training call. This call is an owner-manager call, and I'm very thrilled that so many of you have signed up to hear this wonderful person speak. I'm bringing Wilson Cole to you as an expert, but I'm also bringing Wilson Cole to you as someone that I've respected for years. And I'm so thrilled that he's willing to share, what he knows and what he's been teaching me with all of you. And you're going to notice in the next year or two, as my training clients, I'm going to start bringing more experts to you that can help you in other areas where I might not have the expertise. Most of you might know Wilson Cole because Wilson Cole is president of Adams, Evans, and Ross. And he's helped a lot of firms, get money for backdoor hires. And he also has the Recruiting and Staffing Solution magazine. He's also the managing partner of ELOC Global, which is their parent company. And it's funny because I never realized this, but ELOC, E-L-O-C, is simply his last name Cole spelled backwards. So very, very creative of you, Wilson. Wilson's companies are headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. They have offices in Toronto, in London, and in Manila. And they've accumulatively generated over $1 billion in sales over the last 30 years and have served more than 3,500 staffing and recruiting firms. And what I love about Wilson Cole is what he teaches me are the same resources that he uses. And so just like all of you know that I never teach anything until I try it out first and make sure that it works for my company, because I don't want to bring ideas to you that I know don't work. I also think you all know me well enough that I would never bring a person to one of these calls unless I totally trusted them. And I trust Wilson, and I also call him my friend. And I've learned so much from him. When I looked at my website and looked at the SEO that I was doing, there was so much that needed to be improved. And so I had a discussion with Wilson, and I always like to continue learning. And I've learned so much from him that I couldn't wait to bring him to you. So you're not here today to hear me, you're here to hear Wilson. And so Wilson, the floor is yours, and you've got control of the PowerPoint slides. So everybody, here's Wilson Cole.
Well, outstanding, Barb, and thank you kindly for the introduction. And it goes without saying, I think that you're the absolute best in the industry at what you do. So I certainly appreciate you bringing us in front of your members and owners and managers. I know a lot of people that are on this call probably have seen or heard from me on credit and collections, backdoor hires, and things along those lines. So the first question and the elephant in the room that I want to get out of the way is, why the heck is my collection guy trying to teach me about SEO? And at the end of the day, I am a collection guy through and through. I try to view that as solving the problem, not only for our client, but whoever we're dealing with on the other side of the desk. And, we've been very fortunate to have a lot of clients and collect a lot of money. But more so than just a collection guy, I own a business the same way you guys do. And you may be the best recruiter, you may be the best staffing professional, but I think everybody agrees McDonald's probably has some of the worst hamburgers out there, but the reason that they're good at what they do is that they had to market first. And so for us to grow into the company that we've become, we had to learn how to initially use telemarketing to sell, use other aspects to sell, and then over the last 5 or 10 years, how to win this battle with SEO. And what I'm going to do is kind of break through what we've done, the resources that we've brought in, and then also I'm going to share with you guys an audit at the end, to where you'll be able to get 2 audits absolutely free. You'll be able to see how your website ranks, and it's a third-party software. It's not ours. I pay a licensing fee. And it's going to look at your website, but it will also, if you want, look at one of your competitors' websites and see how you rank and what you need to do to improve it. So let's go ahead and, I hope that explains why I'm going to be talking about SEO, because, I'm a firm believer, and if I have any of my clients on this call, and I probably have told you before, if I can help increase your sales, I can help increase your collections as well. So I have a multitude of reasons on why I want to help you build up your sales. Now, who is Wilson? And there again, this was written by my marketing department, so I'm going to kind of go through some of this fairly quickly. But I'm president of Adams, Evans, and Ross. We've been around about 30 years. About 5 years ago, we launched a software company that finds backdoor hires. All of those companies have gotten to the top of Google and have dominated there. But the reason that they've dominated is I have kind of a secret weapon, in my opinion. Probably about 18 years ago, I was spending a fortune on advertising ads. And this is how actually Barb and I first started connecting way back when. I bought a magazine that about 18, 19 years ago, that was a staffing and recruiting magazine. If you are a member of NPA or First Interview or the United States Staffing Association, Alabama Staffing Association, Florida Staffing Association, or others, you probably have received, if you've gotten one of their magazines, we actually publish that magazine for them. And it was a way for us to be able to advertise, position ourselves as experts in the industry, and use it as kind of our platform. Well, the market changed. The magazines still do a wonderful for us, but over the years we have added more and more resources over into recruiting and staffing solutions, to where it's not only a magazine, it's now become, in the way that we view it, is our marketing arm for Adams, Evans, and Ross. And probably about 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, I started looking at SEO like everybody else. I wasn't real familiar with it. I hired some companies. Some companies did better than others. And probably after about a year or two, with one of the companies that I was utilizing, I started noticing that I was getting calls just out of the blue. Hey, Wilson, found you guys on the internet, and I want to talk to you about X. And the thing that kind of amazed me on that was these were companies that already knew about us, knew me, and when we got them on the phone, it was a very easy process. And I'm always curious by nature. And so I went out and kind of researched, and I'm going to get into the how and the why they were finding us a little later. But if you want to, just for curiosity's sake, if you want to go out and Google a couple of keywords, go look up past due recruiting debt, past due staffing debt, or backdoor hires. You're going to see several things. One of those things is, not only should we hopefully be at the top, but we're going to probably be anywhere from 3 to 5 spots, in some cases 8 spots on that front page. And the techniques that my team have utilized, and we're going to get into the specifics, but the ultimate goal is to be on there so many times that our competitors cannot get on that front page. We have about 5 or 6 competitors that are in the collection business in the staffing and recruiting industry. This is our sole industry where staffing or recruiting may be one of their verticals, but they're still heavily in this industry. The reason why a lot of companies don't know that they exist is we try real hard to make sure they don't show up on Google. And one of the things that that one of my clients, he went out and Googled us. We were having this discussion. He says, Wilson, I saw where you guys were on Pinterest. Who the heck is going to use collection services on Pinterest? And I told him, I said, no one. But if we can get Pinterest to have us on that number 3 spot or number 4 spot, it means that we just kicked another competitor off of that front page. And so it's somewhere along, we want to dominate that. And here's the reason why. In the olden days, and I'm going to give up my age pretty quickly here, but I remember business for a decade or longer before the internet ever existed, probably a decade and a half before the internet ever existed. Adams, Evans, and Ross is 30 years old. Let's say the internet's been around for 20, so it's at least a decade. And the way that people used to buy is that they would pick up the phone, they would call you, 3 or 4 of your competitors. They would request information, you send it out, and the sales cycle began. Now, the problem and the opportunity now is if somebody picks up the phone and they ask you for information, you need to treat that as like the hottest lead that you're ever going to get in. And here's the reason why. They're no longer at step 1 or 2 just trying to figure things out no matter what they tell you. They have already found you on the internet. They have already found 1 to 2 of your competitors. They have researched you, and now they're honing in on who they're going to utilize. And so once you realize that, and that's what happened with me about 8 or 9 years ago, is I realized, you know what, in the olden days, the front lines were making phone calls, telemarketing, and basically you would just sheer volume of getting in front of folks by calling them. Well, recruiting firms and staffing firms, to me, mimic collections a lot. You know, you have clients and you have candidates, we have clients and we have debtors, but trying to bring in clients solely by cold calling, you know, 20, 30 years ago, 85% of the people answered their phone. Now 90% to 95% go straight to voicemail. So you have to be more creative. And what you want to do is now view, in my opinion, SEO as the front line. And with the front line, you need to position yourself. Now, what we're going to talk about, excuse me, what we're going to talk about is going through the game plan that we've utilized and how we get to, you know, number 1 and things on those lines. Because one thing I want you to notice, if you see where Staffing Debt or Adams, Evans, and Ross, you know, may be number 1, you may see, well, Wilson, you know, website recruiters or Tricom or something along those lines. When I Google you, they pull up. Well, those are articles or webinars or other materials that I have done for them. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to break down the 5 core strategies that we utilize, and whether you do it in-house, whether you sub it out. In my opinion, recruiting and staffing, collections included, are I don't want to say they're being commoditized, because if you're really good, you're going to rise up and you're going to give clients reason to use you other than competitors. But if they don't know who you are until you prove yourself, you are absolutely 100% a commodity. And until you get out in front of them and explain why you're not a commodity, then you'll always be a commodity. So that's going to be the front line on this SEO. Why content matters. Okay, we have one of the benefits, and it was an easy transition for us. One of the benefits that we had with going from a magazine, which we're still publishing, but while we were able to kind of transcend into SEO for ourselves and also for a few clients, is we already have writers on staff. We produce tons of content every single day, and it's content that our writers, or excuse me, that our clients are going to want to read. You know, we may throw out a few, you know, sales pieces on, you know, why you want to use a collection firm versus an attorney. But as a general rule, if you go out and you look, whether it's with Backdoor Hires or whether it's with Adams, Evans, and Ross, you're going to see a general theme with that content. And that content is we are helping our clients and our potential clients solve their problem on their own. And so we're giving them value. This is something that I know Barb teaches, is give your clients and your prospect value long before they ever pay you for it. That alone will make you viewed as an expert. You know, I had one of my daughters, which is now married and out of the house, graduated college. So this should tell you how long ago it's been. She had gone to a conference with me, and somebody, and she was probably 8 or 9, and she heard somebody mentioning Wilson was going to be speaking about, you know, collections and things on those lines. And it was one of the few times that somebody actually said they were excited to hear me talk. And she says, Dad, they were talking to you like you were like you were an expert. Are you an expert? And I said, well, I mean, I like to think that I've learned some specific knowledge. And so, yeah. She says, how did you become an expert? I said, well, the reason I became an expert, 30 years ago was I was the first one to say I was an expert. And that's the one thing, and you do it subtly, and hopefully you have the credentials and the knowledge to back it up. And anybody on this call that's been in staffing and recruiting, you have very specific knowledge that your clients want to learn. And if you show them how to avoid 3 mistakes on working remotely, avoid 5 mistakes on hiring new hires, or just whatever that specialty is, talk about it and train them on it. And here's the issue. You can tell people what to do, but at the end of the day, 90% of them are going to say, you know what, that's not my core business. I'm going to let the experts handle that, and I'm going to handle whatever I need to handle on my end. And that's how we pick up our new clients. That's how you pick up your new clients. Now, one of the ways to get up to the top of Google and to get the kind of clients, so evidently I just set off my Google Assistant on that. But anyway, the way that you say the word and all of a sudden it starts talking back to you. My apologies. But how you get to the top of those major search engines and get the kind of clients that you want calling you back is we use a technique called long tail keywords. And let me kind of explain why we use it and how that works. And I'm going to talk collections because I know collections, but as I say collections, in your mind be thinking staffing. If I'm talking about debtors, in your mind be thinking candidates, because the dynamics are similar. But with long tail keywords, the last thing that I want is to show up in Atlanta on a search where it's medical collections or individual collections. The only collections that we handle are staffing and recruiting and in commercial collections. We have no desire to have some landlord trying to call us to talk to us about collecting their rent. It's going to waste his time. It's going to waste our time. And quite frankly, if we would spend so much time, energy, and effort trying to get to the top of, and I'm not going to say GOOGLE because it sets off my assistant here, but to get picked up on the G search is it would be too expensive and time consuming, and it's also too general. So we use a technique called long tail keywords, and we find out from our clients, hey, how did you look for us? If you go out and you look for a recruiting company, how do you go out and do that? How do you look for us to handle your collections? And we found out that they used about 2 to 4 different phrases when they were searching the search engines. And they're going to basically, they're again, past due recruiting debt, past due staffing debt, backdoor hires. We actually found out how they were searching for backdoor hires before we even named our company. And there's a technique that I'll share with everybody at a later time, but we have trademarked the term with the U.S. government, backdoor hires. That's going to be the next phase of SEO search, because now we're going to be able to keep competitors at some point when other competitors, and they will come in and develop software, they will legally not be able to use the term backdoor hires that we have spent SEOing and things along those lines. So kind of keep that in mind. And this is, I don't want to get too far down in those weeds, but getting something trademarked by the U.S. government is a lot cheaper than you would think. I mean, certainly under $5,000, probably a lot closer to 2,500. So if there's phrases that you touch on that are really good SEO words, that may be something to take a look at. But the long tail keywords, the best analogy that one of my people have mentioned it to me is if you go out and you want to find metal detectors. If you put in metal detectors, it's going to pull up 10,000 companies. But if you go out if you sell a metal detector that has a short handle and it's meant for people of smaller size, then metal detectors for short people. That would be a long tail keyword. And so as you start building your keywords, get very specific about it, but also get very specific about it on how your clients are searching, because your clients are going to be able to tell you how they found you, and just take how they found you and replicate that. Another way that we do it is know the keywords and meta tags on your website. And I'm not going to get too technical, because the fact is I can't get too technical because I'm a collection guy. I'm not an SEO guy. But the way that my people have explained that to me is all of your websites have all of the pages on your websites have titles, hashtags, keywords, and things along those lines that Google indexes and takes a look at, and they will go out and find those types of words. And so if you just throw up a website and you don't title your pages correctly using those keywords, then you're going to do yourself an injustice. Secondly, those same meta tags and the way that you write articles, if you're going to use your keywords in articles, and this goes back to the right content, you want to pepper those keywords into the first 100 words of whatever article that you're writing. If you have it, if you're writing a 700 word article and you're going to put those keywords down at the bottom, they're not going to pull up as well as if you put them in the first 100 words. And so you start wanting to interject that. Same way with the website. The other thing is on link building. Link building in the olden days, you used to go out, and as long as you had links, and all links are referral links that go back to your website. And it used to be, 10 years ago, you could go to a company that they called them a link farm, for lack of a better word. And, you could buy 1,000 links, for $1,000, and it may have been at, whatever website. Well, Google cracked the code on that and said there's people trying to game the system. So if you have just a bunch of links that you're connecting with other sites, Google is going to look at it and go, you know what, they're gaming the system. Those aren't the right kind of links. They aren't relevant to what they're talking about. So not only does it not bring you up in Google's ratings, it actually, you get punished for it. And so when you're building out those links, and this comes back to that original thing, let's say go out and look up backdoor hires or past due recruiting debt or past due staffing debt, you'll see where we did an article or we did a webinar for Tricom funding, and they posted it at their website and it pushes it back to us. You'll also see this is in essence really how you use your blog, because your blog, we have a lot of articles that are written on our website, and we keyworded those articles to where hopefully they go up. But also what we do is we go to other companies, and at times we may even pay to have, if there's a website that's getting a lot of traffic, we may pay to have that article posted there, but it links back to our website. And so it's almost like a popularity contest. As soon as Google starts saying, you know what, they're sharing your content, wow, he must really be good. And so now that automatically makes you, move up the rankings of Google. So as you go through that, remember, the five strategies there are, you're going to need to remember that SEO is the front lines. You're also going to want to create content that isn't self-promoting. Put yourself as an expert. I tell all of our salespeople, and there's, at any given point, there's somewhere between 55 and 60 of us floating around between the different companies, and we have a disproportionate amount of those that work in marketing or SEO, or 3 or 4 of them work in direct sales. I don't want any client to feel like we were trying to force ourselves to be their solution. If you're talking to them and we're not the right solution, move them on. If, every time that anybody ever calls me and says, Wilson, I've got a problem, do I need to turn it over, for collections or not? I always ask them, walk them through the process on what the issue is. And I would say half of them, I say, try this, this, and this first. And then if that doesn't work, give me a call back. And half of them will get it resolved doing just what I told them to do. The reason for that is I don't want to ever, if a client calls me and they say, Wilson, do I need to turn it over? And they absolutely need to turn it over. I don't want them to think for a second that I'm trying to benefit myself. Yes, we are benefited directly or indirectly with them placing it over, but we try to put our clients' needs ahead of just our own marketing efforts. Now, one of the reasons we can do that is we bring in, and we've been around 30 years, we bring in about 15 to 20 new staffing and recruiting clients every single month. And the reason that we do that is because of these techniques with Google, with getting on with SEO. Another technique that you can utilize, and this is more of a off subject of SEO, but it's a lead generation technique that we've utilized and it has been phenomenal, is those links that we share the articles with out of our blog post. Somebody clicks on it and they're reading about backdoor hires, they're reading about credit and collections. It goes to a website that we have what we refer to as our chat team. They are the people. If you go to our website, you'll see where there's a chat box. And so if somebody's at our website and they're reaching it, they're not going to be overly intrusive, but they're going to say, hey, do you have a credit or collection need, or do you have a backdoor hire, depending on where they are, that we can set you up a meeting to talk to one of our experts. I can tell you, if somebody is reading, the 5 signs to tell if your client is going out of business, I am 95% sure that there is somebody that they're thinking about of, oh, I hope we don't get burned on this client or that client because they look like they may be going out of business. So if they're on that blog post and they're on our website, they're a more probable customer than just somebody that's surfing the web looking for a collection agency because they have a specific need. So use the long tail keywords, make sure that the meta tags are utilized properly and that they support your overall viewpoint of SEO. And then, one of the things that I had told you guys that we would offer to you guys, and this is absolutely free. There's no obligation to use our SEO services or not, but I think it would benefit everybody to get 2 free website audits. First, let's pull a website audit on you, on your company. And this is a third-party website audit that it's software that we enter in the domain. It goes out and it crawls your website and it spits out a 2 to 3 page report and says, you score an overall A minus, B, C, whatever on your website. And then it breaks down how you rank socially, how you rank from a security standpoint, usability. The main thing that we focus on is how you rank from an SEO standpoint. And also, we will do the same thing for one of your competitors, because there was a company that was over in the UK after we opened up backdoor hires, and they started spending a ton of money on marketing. Good company. I'm assuming, our attorneys, our staff attorneys thought that we had some rights, because we not only have backdoor hires trademark, but we also have patents on some of our software, and we were doing things much, in my opinion, we were doing it thoroughly, but they had borrowed some of those techniques. And our attorneys were basically saying, let's go ahead and sue them to back them off. And I said, let's pull an SEO report on them first. I looked at their SEO. They were spending no money whatsoever on SEO. And it's like, you know what, before we get distracted doing the legal aspect, I don't think they're going to be hanging out very much longer, because they're spending absolutely no money. And we could tell that by this website audit. Make a long story short, in about 8 months, they folded up shop and moved on. And the reason for that is they built some okay software, but they weren't focusing on where we were killing them. And that was when somebody would go out looking at backdoor hires, they became tougher to find. And so I would implore you, if there's a sales technique that I can give to you that an old guy that's been in this doing this 30 years, is look at your competitors. And I can tell you, if your competitors are ranking better than you are on SEO, you can be so much better at doing your job, but you're still going to be at a disadvantage because they're going to be getting more clients. Now, if they absolutely are horrid, they're just going to make people mad en masse, and you may wind up getting a new client later down the road. But most of, at least our competitors, are actually pretty good at what they do. What we have to do is beat them on that front line and make them to where we show up so much higher than theirs. So on this audit, we'll do one for you, we'll do one for your competitor. And what I would request that you do is send an email to Josh, and that is JOSH at elocglobal, elocglobal.com, and put in the subject Barb Bruno, audit, web audit. And that will be a reminder to him that A, this is free, B, that Barb was the one, or this webinar was what you guys went through. And within about a day or two, Zach will reach out to you and give you the audit. And the neat thing about the audit is it walks you through exactly what you need to do. If you were using an SEO company, I still recommend that you get the audit. Even if you're tied into a 10-year contract in Wilson, there is no way I will ever become a competitor or a client of yours because this other competitor has me locked up for a lifetime. That's okay. Get educated on what they are doing so you can kind of help shift it if it's working or if it's not working. And I can tell you, even with us, we've got about 20 people over in our SEO, web development, and marketing teams. And we rent those out. And like I said, we can always talk at a later time on what that cost would be. It's fairly reasonable, much more reasonable than most people would think. But before we even do that, take a look at the audit. But I use the audit to make sure that our people are doing what they're doing, because you can get your Google Analytics report, you can see traffic, but I think back to, one of the classes that they teach in law school, and that's how to lie with statistics. And so if somebody is giving you Google Analytics, there's 100 different analytics that they can give you on that report. They may only be sending you 10, and they may be perfect. But this third-party software will also verify that one way or the other. And I use it to check out our own people. I pull one on our company once a month because it's software that we don't control and it cannot be manipulated. Barb, I think I'm getting to the end of that. What questions do you have for me, and what input can I help you with?
Okay, first of all, I want you to go to your next slide, because that gives Josh's email address, and then they can have it in front. So if you could do that. One thing I want to share with all of you is, after I talked to Wilson about several things, I did my own research, and I realized that every day there's 5.5 billion, not million, billion Google searches done. So every single day there's over 5.5 billion Google searches done, and only 6% of those read pages 2 and 3 combined. Only 6% read pages 2 and 3 combined. So if you're not on page 1, it doesn't do you any good. And when I did the audit on my website, I was stunned, because I was sure, because I'm everywhere and everybody says I'm everywhere, and I'm very heavy on LinkedIn. I do the LinkedIn courses. I've got all my training clients, and I've been doing this for 30 years. I was sure when we did the audit that I was going to be right there. And half the time I was coming up on page 7, which means I read an article that said, if you want to hide a dead body, hide it on page 2 of Google, because no one will ever find it. So I brought Wilson to you because my rankings, I might as well have been a dead body hiding, because nobody was going to see it. And, the reason I brought Wilson to all of you is I loved that he offered to do free audits for all of you, and again, people are not finding us, by going to a phone book, by going to a a job board ad or that type of thing. And all of you that are spending a ton of money on advertising, I am telling you that is so much more expensive than just, learning how to get your name and your company's name on page one. And like Wilson said, and you all know that I share a ton of information free. I always have. I will help anybody anytime. But then hopefully when people need training, they come to me. You want to position your firm as that rather than you going out there and having to constantly track down candidates and clients. Wouldn't it be great if they searched what they're looking for and you popped up and they reached out to you? Because that's where the world is going. And COVID has basically put more momentum behind this than anything could have, because everything has gone online. And so these services are needed more than ever. So I really strongly suggest that all of you get the audits. And what I want now is to encourage questions. When you called in, you were given a telephone number, an access code, and a PIN number. If you put all three of those in, you could go to the attendee list on the right-hand side, click on attendees, and you're going to see a little hand icon that looks like a hand being raised. If you click on that, I can unmute your lines and you and Wilson can have a one-on-one conversation. If you'd rather type in questions, you can go to the bottom. I see we have some questions at the bottom. If you don't want me to see your name, say your name rather, I'll only say your first name. But if you don't want me to say your first name, okay, then just put confidential or anonymous first. I've got Scott wanting your email address. So can you share your email address, Wilson?
Sure. My email address is Wilson, WILSON, at aercollections.com. Wilson at aercollections.com. That's the best email address for me.
Right. And Wilson is extremely accessible. You would be amazed. I have another question. Barb, are you using Wilson? And if so, what results have you had? Well, I am using Wilson right now, but what I needed to do first is basically I was told that my website sucks. And I knew it, it's something I just haven't paid attention to. And I've had other people, Kogan Page, my publisher, also told me that they would not refer media to my current website. So I am in the process now, and Wilson is helping me get a website up. So if you want to see, you could go to my website. In fact, this would be a great thing for all of you to do. If you go to my website right now, which I hate to send you there, it's goodasgoldtraining.com. You'll see what it currently looks like. And if you want to see what my website is turning into, can I give out the beta address, Wilson? Would that be okay?
Absolutely. I'm assuming now there again, I know that our web designers, and I'm not involved in the day-to-day operation. I am assuming at this particular second, you give them the beta, it's going to be there. If somebody's listening to it later, it may very well be a broken link, but if it's available now, go right ahead.
Right. So if you want to see the difference, go to goodasgoldtraining.com. And then I want you to go to, take a pen out right now. I'm going to give you the website address. It's https://beta, BETA, goodasgoldtraining.com. And you'll see the difference. Now it's not done. I'm working on it. But if you just see the difference of my website, the current website I have, goodasgoldtraining.com, is confusing. I was offering so much, but I was all over the place. And by the way, I paid somebody 10 times what I'm paying to get my new website done. And plus, as soon as my new website done is, I trust Wilson Cole to handle my SEO. And I was shocked at his prices. They're so low. I was shocked because, I have access to all the experts that are doing these things. And this is why I was so excited to partner with Wilson and bring him to all of you. So I would never bring someone to you that I'm not using. But my current website, if you go to goodasgoldtraining.com, I'm almost embarrassed by it now compared to what the //beta, BETA, goodasgoldtraining.com looks like. Now it's not done. I'm still working on it, but you'll see the massive difference. And so get the audit done. I can't teach you this stuff. I am not an SEO expert. Obviously, I show up on page 7. And again, can I post? What I'm going to do is, I just had somebody to ask me to post my new website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to chat. Okay. So let me go to chat on this site. Okay. And I'm going to type that address right now. It says HTTP, whoops. So now I can't type because you're all waiting for me to type. Okay. // beta. Let's see, beta.good. Sorry about this.
No,
Listen, I can't. Good.
Oh,
So you can't type when you're being pressured, right? Right?
so I tell you, Barb, what I can do is I'm always good at just giving white noise. So I'll share something with the folks here, because a lot of folks say, Wilson, why are you guys offering SEO? And also when they see some of our pricing, they well, how are you able to do that? And everybody else is charging out the nose. Number one, this is kind of a, using the terminology of my kids, this is kind of a side hustle. It's something that I already have built-in capacity. I also have a global workforce, and so we sometimes can find stuff that can be done at a much more reasonable price because we already do have that reach. Secondly, over the years, if there was always something that I found that worked from a sales standpoint, if I have any of my clients on here, when we would talk collections, sometimes we talk about, well, hey, here's how we're getting new clients. Here's how, it worked for us, didn't work for us. And so this is just a natural progression of that. And we already have overbuilt capacity. I've got to pay staff writers to produce those magazines because we get clients from these different associations. Plus, we control the conversation in those different associations to a degree with those magazines. So I've already had that overhead. So pretty much anybody that we bring on, we have about 30 clients that we're utilizing, and we've been purposely growing it slow. We started out with about 15 clients 3 years ago as a beta test. And the neat thing about that is 13 of those original 15 3 years later are still with us. And so we kind of open it up to 5 to 7 new clients periodically. And then they come in and we give them, typically it's 21 hours worth of SEO. And here's the big secret about a lot of the SEO companies. They're almost like attorneys. And I have a daughter that's an attorney. She's one of our staff attorneys. But they speak with their own language to try to keep everybody in the dark. SEO companies are the same way, and they'll tell you, yeah, well, you'll get a full-time rep, and we're going to charge you $3,000 a month, $2,000 a month, whatever it is. The fact is, they're not spending more than 15 or 20 hours a month on your website in most cases. There's exceptions, but for a regional company that has 1 or 2 offices or in one particular niche, realistically spending more than 20 hours a month isn't going to do you. I mean, it would help some, but you're just simply not going to get the return on it, in my opinion. Okay, Barb, I'm going to hush you.
Wait, I have to share something really funny with you, Wilson. Lisa Hale Googled Good as Gold training, and it led her to a site, a golden retriever training. So she said, I guess you're proving your point. So somebody Googled my name, Good as Gold training, and it led them to golden retriever training. I have Jan that said I talked too fast and could I list the site, which I did. Beverly said, wow, Barb, this is a wonderful difference. Josh said the beta version looks so much better. Awesome. So I thought by just showing you what Wilson's doing for me, I mean, I'm so excited about what he's doing for me. And I was so angry when I realized how much money I was spending. And I'm on page 7. And, so, you know how I'm out there everywhere. I just assumed, but we all know what happens when you assume. So that's why I was so excited to bring Wilson to you. He taught you what to do on your own, which is what I love about Wilson. He gave you the 5 things that he does. Quite frankly, did I want to do these on my own? Not on your best day, not best use of my time. Karen Fox just put down unbelievable difference. Leanne put down the beta version looks awesome. Cynthia put down, I can't believe this is the same thing. Your old site really does suck. Well, thank you. Someone just Googled my name and they got a stripper. I don't like that. They got them to a stripper site. So I guess there must be a Barb Bruno. In fact, I've been told that Barb Bruno is a stripper. So please Google Barbara Bruno. That obviously is not me. But it just shows what can happen. And I think all of you know that I probably work at giving free information and putting things out there harder than most people. And yet I'm on page freaking 7, and you all say that my current website sucks. So let's see. What does it mean when a website says not secure? Karen wants to know that. What does it?
And that if you're looking at the beta website, that's exactly what that means. Not being secure. is you need an SSL certificate, and that is something that if you use GoDaddy or you use something along those lines, and that is something that if your website says it's not secure, you need to get an SSL certificate. It's 25, 50, I mean, it's about 25 bucks a year, if that, and it's a certification that Google has really promoted, and it's going to start, and it is starting to affect your ability to look up. So if the beta site shows unsecured, it's because it's just it's just that, it's a beta site. It's not up at the website and things on those lines. But with the not being secured, it used to be that if you were doing e-commerce and paying by credit card and things along those lines, you needed to be SSL certified or had a certificate. But now they've kind of expanded in the last year and a half to where all sites need to be. If your site is not secure, it'd be the best 25 bucks that you could spend, and whoever's hosting your URL or your website should be able to do it. If you're using an SEO company or a website, you're not secured, then that's going to be a problem that you need to address with them. And quite frankly, could care less if you use us or not, but that should be your first sign that you probably want to look at another resource.
Okay, I'm adding, somebody asked me, they want me to type again. How dare you guys? Okay, and I type 100 words a minute unless I'm under stress here. So Wilson, give me your email address. I have several people asking me. So it's Wilson.
It's Wilson, WILSON at AER Collections with an S at the end.com.
Okay, so Wilson at AERcollections.com. I just put it in the chat line, everybody, so you can see it. And Wilson, I knew how to spell Wilson, just for the record, but that's okay that you spelled it for me.
I'm basing it on my own ability, because here's the little secret on the backside. I'm dyslexic, so spelling Cole backwards is kind of an inside joke because it's not that uncommon for me to do some pretty amazing typo stuff. So I can only judge by my own standards, Barb. You're so much better at that than I am.
Okay, I have a couple more questions from Josh. He wants to know if you would recommend using Webflow to build a staffing website. It's WBFLOW, Webflow.
I don't know. I know, and there again, I'm not technical. I know we use WordPress sites. I know that there's a lot of different companies out there that do some drag and drop. In a lead generation, we use ClickFunnels. But as far as on Webflow, I'm just not going to be that familiar with it. And keep in mind, I don't build anything. We have a couple of web designers, but they're all going to be done in a WordPress site.
Right, and the reason you want WordPress, everybody, is because you can go in and you can update the jobs listing. I mean, you don't have to have a web person to go in and make changes on your site when it's WordPress. So I've always had a WordPress, and I have to tell all of you that I'm not taking this personal. That all of you are telling me how much my website sucks, and that you can't believe that was my website. And now you're Googling my name and Good as Gold Training, and I hate what's coming up. So, and somebody just asked me, did Wilson do my website? Yes, it's his. He's not doing it. One of his people are doing it. But yes, I am using Wilson to update my website. So let's see. Okay.
Barb,
let's see.
You do have some hands raised.
Okay, we've got more hands raised. Oh, we got hands raised. That's awesome. Let me get there. That's Beth Matthews. She's my detail person. Can you guys tell? Because if you leave detail up to me, God knows it's not going to happen. So let's go here. Hold on. Okay, I'm showing no hands raised. Where are you seeing hands raised? I'm seeing, oh, there's one hand. Hold on one second. Big list. Okay, Michelle, I'm going to unmute your lines. Michelle, you self-muted yourself, so you've got to unmute yourself. When you see those little microphones under the attendee list, you've got to unmute yourself because I can't unmute you. So Michelle, if you still have a question, if you could just unmute yourself, you're self-muted. Okay, either that or if you can go down below and type a question in for me, I'd be glad to answer your question. Let's see, let me go back on front. That's the only hand I'm seeing, Beth. And I love that all of you are here because I was so excited to bring Wilson to you. So I'm just wonderful. I'm just so happy you're all here. Let me see if Michelle put a question in, Wilson, because let's see here. right now. Okay, and some of you that, by the way, some of you that are brand new, my tech team was doing your websites, and so yeah, the websites that you got through our other tech team, my tech team was not, I went to an outside person to get my website done. So if you had your website done by our current tech team, those are good websites. However, in the future, am I going to also look at Wilson as a resource? I am, and again, get audited for SEO right now. That's the most important thing all of you can do, because when I saw 5.5 billion people conduct a search a day and only 6% represent page 2 and 3, if you're not on page 2 and 3, no one knows you exist. And think about, I don't know what I did before Google. Anything I want to buy, anything I want to do, I Google it. I mean, it's like, well, just Google it. That's what we all do. And so when people are Googling, you want them to find you. We all work too hard. This is not an easy profession. And sometimes we're spending our money on things that we're not getting the ROI. And what I'm doing now is looking at every dime I'm spending and what is the return on my investment. Advertising is not paying off. For those of us that dialed in late, could you review, or is there a recording handout of Wilson Cole's 5 things to do? Yes, what you're going to get, Lisa, is, we've got the PowerPoints, so you're going to get the recording. And what I'm going to do, if it'll help all of you, is maybe we'll put an attachment also. So Beth, I know you're on the line. If we could put the attachment, the handout will be a copy of the PowerPoint slides. So if you want to print that out to look at the five things to do, you could either do that or you could listen to the call. All the calls we do are, will be shared with all of you, and then they're posted. Any of those of you that own our tutor, it'll be on the front page of your tutor, recent downloads. It'll be there. So you can listen to it there. We will send you the handout as well, the PowerPoint slides, so you can see exactly what needs to be done. But the free audit was, Wilson offered to do that for anybody that was on my call. So that's kind of his gift to me, to you, that he'll do those audits for not only you, but one of your competitors. Let's see, how long will the free website audit promo last? So how long are you willing to do that? There's got to be a deadline. I'm glad you asked that, Barb, because this can't be a forever offer. So Wilson, how long do you want to leave the offer on the table where you'll do the audit for them and their competitor?
We'll do it, and we'll say over the next 30 days, because
Okay.
it's times if somebody's listening to this article or this webinar in 12 months or 14 months, they can try to send it to Josh. Hopefully we'll still be doing it, but I know for the next 30 days that we can. The biggest issue, Barb, is, and this is something that you and I had talked about, is that we add about 5 clients a quarter, because at the end of the day, this is a side hustle, and we expand our team. And I'm drinking the same Kool-Aid that we're selling. It's the same teams that I utilize. And our SEO on a monthly basis, if they wanted to hire us, you're looking at $300-400 a month. I mean, it's remarkably cheap. But on the free website audits, we'll keep that open, for at least the next 30 days.
And I hope you all heard that, because I didn't know if Wilson was going to share his pricing with you, but the cheapest quote I had for SEO other than Wilson was over $2,500 a month, and he's under $400 a month, his SEO services. And so, and again, his clients end up on page 1. So if in fact, you've never done anything, because the expense of it. And I've always said most people that do SEO, if they were that good at it, they'd have 100 websites that are generating $1 million for them, and they wouldn't be in the SEO business. They would be using their expertise for their own selfish purposes. On the other hand, what Wilson has done is this is a side company. He's got a whole team that does it for him, and they provide results. So that's the big difference. So many people that have sold me SEO, when I look at who they are and what they've done, you don't get the bang for the buck. And that's why I was excited to bring Wilson to you. And again, that's very generous to offer that for 30 days, Wilson. Thank you.
Well, certainly. And I mean, and the biggest thing, Barb, is, and it's funny that you mentioned it. I mean, we make more money promoting our own companies on SEO than we do on the other. But if we've got 30, 40 clients, it basically means we're doing websites on that. I mean, we're talking, 15, 20 grand a month recurring revenue. It at least covers my cost to where we get, in essence, we get free talent in my eyes. And also, It's
Mhm.
our contribution back to our clients, because I truly do believe if we can increase somebody's sales, as a general rule, about 1% of their sales are going to go into collections. So we'll make money on the backside over on the collections as well.
Okay, so I've got a thing from Scott that's a big, long question, and we've got some time. So it's I already purchased a web domain and the highest web hosting that GoDaddy offers through Linux, Lenux. I thought I could figure out WordPress. I know pretty much exactly what I want. Wilson, I'm interested. Let's see, Wilson, I'm interested in your SEO service. I use REVLOCAL, RevLocal, when I first started my franchise a year and a half ago, and pretty much wasted money. I was hoping to use you possibly as well to create a website, which I assume would be easier when created from scratch to maximize SEO searches. I was hoping to also use the audit on my new website once built. What I would say, Scott, yeah, you're right on all the above, and I wish I had used Wilson 10 years ago, because I just know that I would be in a different situation right now. When it comes to SEO, it flabbergasted me when I saw how I didn't pop up. So all you have to do is reach out to Wilson. You've got his, who do we reach out to speak with using Wilson's services? There's Leanne. Who do they speak out to becoming a client for your website design and SEO? Do you want to give a phone number? Do you want them just to email you? What would you like to do?
The best thing to do would be to email Josh, which is at Elot Global, and Josh is basically our service. I mean, Barb's people talk to Josh, probably once or twice a week, and Josh is basically our client services guy. And so he's going to answer. He's not going to be the slickest salesperson that you'll ever speak to, but he's going to be straightforward. He's going to let you know what we can do and things along those lines. And and to build a website that's, I believe it's like between 10 and 15 pages, it's like $1,495. If you need more than 15 pages, I think you can go up to like 50 pages for $2,500. That's a one-time fee. I also know that right now things are in economic a little uncertainty. If we need to break that into a couple, 2-3 months in payments, I don't mind doing that as well. So whatever works for anyone there. But it's like $14.95 for a 15-page website, which would cover most anyone there that would need a website. If it's going to be more than that, then you're looking at about $2,500.
And just so all of you know, the reason that you contact Josh is the reason you contact Beth Matthews to get me, because I'm not that real detail person, and I book my calendar all the time. And so when people try to reach me, I always say, contact Beth, she'll get you on my calendar. Because yesterday I had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn, so I copy and pasted it and sent it to Jody in my organization. But because I wasn't clear, I booked an appointment to talk to this person, which I shouldn't have done. So Jody went on and booked an appointment to talk to her 30 minutes later, because I shouldn't have booked it. And I had something else at the time. So Wilson's not trying to put you off. He and I both need a detailed person. My detail people are Beth and Jody, because they're the ones that dot the I's and cross the T's. So if you want information, Josh's email is right on your screen right now, that Josh at ELOC. And if you can't remember ELOC, it's cold spelled backwards, which I love that, global.com. And then you've got Wilson's email address, but again,
and
Josh,
CC me on that email.
To that.
Yeah, and Barb, they can CC me on that email. At the end of the day, I'm a collection guy. So talking with me on your website, I mean, I'm going to refer you over to the folks that built our website. And if you want to see our website, it's staffingdebt.com, backdoorhires.com, rssmmarketing.com, and others. But I'm not a website guy. I'm a collection guy. But what we're doing here is, in essence, that 20-person team that I have. We're in essence renting them out, to the staffing and recruiting industry on that end. So you would wind up with them anyway.
Right. And so I really want to thank Wilson Cole, because again, here's a man that knows us, that understands staffing and recruiting, and so often people that want to sell us, services or do things for us, they don't really understand our world. And he sees the ugliest part of our world when things go bad and money's not collected and placements are being made behind our backs and that. So, I mean, he's seen some of the ugliest parts of staffing and recruiting. And yet, you know, I'm telling you, the way he's got things priced and the quality of what he delivers is incredible, just incredible. So if you need any information, if you do nothing else, get your audit. I think, you know, I hope you're not as shocked as I was. I really love that when you put good as gold training, you get golden retriever training. I love that, Lisa. Now that I know that people are trying to find me and they're getting dog training, that's just wonderful. But I will be changing that shortly. I'm hoping my website will be live by the end of the month. But anyway, I appreciate all of you here. Wilson, I can't thank you enough. I'm thrilled that we are partnering up. I have respected you for years, and you know, we good people have to stick together so we can take care of, you know, the people that we represent. So thank you, everybody. If you have any other questions that you didn't ask Wilson that you'd like to ask him, I would send those questions to Josh as well. So if you get off this call and go, oh, I forgot, then just send your questions to Josh, you know, because obviously he's the expert. And Wilson, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. If y'all want to CC me on it as well. But quite frankly, if you send me a detailed or a question, I'm going to have to get that answer from Josh. So go straight to the source. And Barb, thank you for having me on your webinar today. And if anybody needs any help collections, you've got my email address, or give me a call as well, and you'll see our website. Just, you know, we'll set up a time to talk.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day, everybody.